Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for our radio audience here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, tuning in to our online affiliates around the world, including our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. Well, here in Mississippi, as the temperatures have been dropping, I've noticed my neighbors are making sure that their pets are being taken care of and staying warm, and also making sure they're getting the nourishment that they need. But do you realize, especially if you're a pet lover, that this is something we have to think about year long? In fact, 7 out of 10 pet parents consider their pets as members of their family, yet nearly half underestimated the lifetime cost of pet care. That's according to a new study. Well, what should we be thinking about when it comes to our pets, and as well as the commitment that it takes? We're excited to welcome pet expert and author Andrea Arden to our program. She's going to fill us in on all the things we need to consider when we think about getting a new pet or even taking care of the pet that we have now. Andrea, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate being here, Cyrus. I think it is a very important topic, especially because nowadays we all consider our pets definitely as family members, and we want to be as financially prepared as possible.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Andrea. And so when it comes to the survey, what did you find when it comes to the true cost of pet ownership?
So Synchrony sponsored the survey on behalf of Pets Best and Care Credit, and the 3 big takeaways from this Lifetime of Care survey are as follows. Number 1, that about 50% of Americans underestimate the cost of pet care. Number 2, and let me explain this number after I say it because it's going to sound a little bit scary and it's really not meant for that, is that over the course of a lifetime, the care of a dog can be up to $55,000 and the care of a cat up to $45,000. But that really is not a number that should scare people because it varies depending on the part of the country you live in. For example, I live in New York City. Things are a lot more expensive here.
Right.
It depends on how well you care for your pet to prevent predictable potential illnesses that can be costly. And it also depends on, the individual genetics and health of that animal. As an example, if you choose to get a breed like a French Bulldog that tends to have breathing problems, or a German Shepherd dog, which may have some hip dysplasia issues, those are going to be costs that are going to be higher than an animal that isn't prone to those genetic issues. And then the third big takeaway from the study is that about 30 million U.S. households a year will experience some sort of unexpected pet care cost that will cause financial worry.
Yeah, and I think those are things we don't really think about, especially I noticed when we got a dog for our nephew, Andrea, that a lot of times you don't think about all that it takes to be able to make sure that pet is taken care of and given the care that they need. Well, I have to ask you this because of what we've dealt with the past couple of years. How has pet ownership changed, have you noticed, during the pandemic?
Cyrus, it has changed so much. I've been a dog trainer for 30 years. I've never seen anything like it. With that said, of course, everything in the last 2 years we've been saying, oh, my gosh, everything's changed. So it's no surprise that pet ownership has changed as well. And in fact, about 1 out of every 5 American families has adopted a dog or a cat in the last 2 years. That's a big number. That's a lot of people. Which means we're now up to about 90.5 million American families that have a dog or a cat as part of their family. And I'm thrilled about it. I mean, I think it really is telling about how much we all recognize how much animals bring to our lives, not only in regards to our emotional well-being, but also our physical well-being. I mean, think of a dog who, they look at you and they're wagging their tail with those eager eyes going, can we go out for another walk today? That really can encourage you to get up and to be more mobile and to get out there, get some fresh air. So, yes, it is. The surge in popularity of pets in the last 2 years has been exponential.
And I think if it has anything to do, like my friends, Andrea, that having a companionship and not going through this time alone has meant a lot for some of my friends here in the South. But with that being said, let's say there's someone listening to this, Andrea, who is thinking about becoming a pet parent. What should they think about when it comes to the cost associated with that, and not just having a cute animal in their home, but also really what it takes to make sure that animal is taken care of?
Well, so think of it this way. Imagine we had like a pie chart, okay? Probably the biggest piece of that pie is going to be veterinary care. And the most upfront costs are going to be veterinary care in regards to vaccines because, whether you have a puppy or a kitten or an adult dog or cat, you're going to be going in to see the vet pretty frequently in those first 3 months you have that animal as part of your family. After that, fingers crossed, you go to see the vet maybe once a year, or it should be once a year for an annual checkup, and then if there's any sort of outstanding emergency medical issue. The other costs are food. A big cost that I don't think people think about a lot, especially nowadays, is grooming, because there's been a real surge in popularity for a lot of these poodle mixes that require an enormous amount of grooming, like easily every 6 to 8 weeks. And over the course of a year, that can really add up. And then for dogs, there's the cost of training. Sometimes people have to pay for daycare if their dogs, have some separation issues or need extra exercise. In general, I would say that people would expect, depending on where you are in the country, to spend about $1,300 to maybe $2,800 in the first year that you have a dog, and about $900 to about $2,500 in the first year you have a cat.
Well, Andrea, those are all great factors for our audience to keep in mind whether they already have a pet as part of their family or thinking about getting one. So the last thing I want to ask you about are resources. You've told us the things we need to think about when it comes to counting the cost. Where can our audience go for some valuable resources that are going to help them out, especially when it comes to those costs?
Well, I think the best thing they can do is consider that, the option of pet health insurance is something they should chat with their vet about, like Pets Best. And then if you happen to fall into that, grouping of the 30 million a year who have some unexpected veterinary cost, consider chatting with your vet about Care Credit. It's a credit card that's used for health care costs across the board. As we're speaking about this, it relates to veterinary care, obviously. It's accepted at about 25,000 vet clinics across America, and it can give people that wiggle room they might need financially so that they don't have to necessarily make a decision on a procedure their vet is recommending on that day if they can't afford it, because Care Credit allows them up to 18 months interest-free. So that decision then in regards to your pet's care is really based on what your vet is advising rather than you worrying on that day about how am I going to pay for this.
Love that. A lot of great information. Again, everyone, pet expert and author Andrea Arden has been our guest, helping you guys who are thinking about getting a pet or already have one to remember to count the cost when it comes to owning that pet. So, Andrea, where can our audience go for more information?
They can go to PetLifetimeOfCare.com.
All right, and we'll make sure that we link that up for our audience. Andrea, thank you so much for sharing this with us. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to having you back on the program again.
Cyrus, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You as well. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live, part of our News You Can Use segment here at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.